We are told this is the age of liberation, of endless choices, limitless potential, and personal sovereignty. Yet underneath the fluorescent glow of this promised paradise, there's a quiet but persistent ache, a sense that something essential is missing. Imagine walking into a brightly lit supermarket. The shelves are overflowing, hundreds of cereals, dozens of milk types, endless brands and flavors. But none of it feels like it belongs to you. You don't remember choosing this world. You were simply born into its prearranged aisles. This is not freedom. This is the choreography of consumer autonomy. You're free to pick from what has already been chosen for you. Your desires are pre-scripted, your rebellion already monetized. Real freedom, authentic freedom, is messy, raw, and often terrifying. It doesn't fit into plastic containers or lifestyle aesthetics. It demands that you confront your own inner architecture, that you ask uncomfortable questions. Who am I outside of what I've been sold? Would I still want what I want if nobody told me I should? Modern society doesn't fear chaos. It fears genuine autonomy. It fears the individual who chooses from within, not from a shelf. And so, we are pacified with endless variety, mistaking abundance for liberation. But the truth is, most of us are not free. We are merely comfortable. Section 1. Consumer choice and the false menu of freedom. You think you're making a choice when you scroll through job listings or pick between streaming platforms. But that sensation, the flicker of power in your fingertip, is carefully engineered. What you perceive as freedom is a curated gallery of acceptables. The roles you pursue, the aesthetics you adopt, the personalities you sculpt online. They're not expressions of self. They're reflections of what sells. Freedom here is a showroom. You're permitted to roam, to touch, to try on, but only within what has already been deemed acceptable by invisible architects of culture and capital. And it works because you've been trained to confuse variety with autonomy. When you think you're choosing, you're often just complying with a more sophisticated form of control, one that flatters your ego while colonizing your identity. They, the systems, the corporations, the algorithms, don't need to force you anymore. They just need to feed you enough options to keep you occupied. Choice becomes a performance, a ritual that soothes the psyche while shielding you from the terror of genuine freedom. Real freedom isn't profitable. It doesn't fit into ad space. It doesn't make you predictable or trackable. So what they've done is redefine it. Now rebellion is a product category. Your anger can be monetized. Your counterculture style can be sold back to you with a loyalty card. You can be loud, weird, and defiant, as long as it aligns with market trends or earns engagement. Even your discontent is being harvested. To live freely is to notice the walls, to sense the edges of the maze while others are chasing cheese. It's not about choosing a different option on the same menu. It's about questioning why the menu exists at all and who benefits from it. You have to break the trance. Ask yourself whose story you're living, whose script you're reading from. Most people never will. They're too sedated by the dopamine drip of convenience, too afraid of the silence that comes when you unplug from the noise. But if you're willing to look beyond the polished surface, you might catch a glimpse of something unscripted. And that's where the real reckoning begins. Because the next layer of illusion isn't just the menu, it's the self you've constructed from it. Let's go deeper. Section 2. Productivity, identity, and the hustle trap. They sold you a dream, wrapped in achievement, soaked in sweat, and measured by metrics. You internalized it. Now if you're not moving, you're wasting time. Stillness feels like guilt. Leisure feels like laziness. The moment your feet hit the floor in the morning, you're already evaluating how much you can extract from yourself before nightfall. This is not discipline, it's domestication. You've been taught to manage your time like a business manages assets, but the quiet truth is, your very identity has been hijacked by a cultural obsession with productivity. They turned the self into a machine and called it progress. You think you're in charge, but your worth has become a spreadsheet, your existence a to-do list. You never stop to question why your value should be proven at all. You were conditioned, rewarded, and validated for performing usefulness, not living fully. Even your breaks are optimized now. Meditation apps, biohacks, performance naps. You can't just be, you must become. And in this relentless becoming, you slowly vanish. But you weren't born to be a cog. Your existence precedes your function. Your worth doesn't need to be earned. They don't want you to realize that. They want you tired but compliant, chasing goals that keep the machine alive, not your soul. But here's the rupture point. True empowerment isn't achieving more. It's choosing less. It's walking away. It's declaring that your humanity isn't something to monetize. And once you step away from that trap, you're left with something even more unsettling. Who are you without the hustle? Let's pull that thread. Section 3. Identity, comfort, and the forgotten self. You wear many names, but few of them feel like home. Professional, partner, achiever, content creator. The world handed you these titles, and you accepted them, often without pause. Over time, they calcify. You become fluent in expectations, but illiterate in authenticity. They told you who you should be before you ever had the chance to ask who you are. In this world, identity is no longer discovered. It's manufactured, curated, and deployed. You perform your selfhood like a character on stage, gathering approval through likes, promotions, and polished narratives. But something feels off, doesn't it? Beneath the performance, a quiet voice keeps whispering, "This isn't all of me." That voice isn't weak. It's the part of you that remembers. But they've taught you to silence it with comfort. Soft routines, seamless entertainment, controlled environments. Comfort becomes the cage you never noticed being built. You may not feel the bars, but that doesn't mean you're free. They don't want you to remember your original self, the one untouched by applause or algorithm. Because remembering leads to reclaiming, and reclaiming disrupts the order. The moment you slow down, the noise becomes deafening. That's where it begins. In the spaces where nothing is demanded of you, you'll start to feel again, maybe for the first time in years, the unbranded self, the unscripted life, the terrifying, beautiful unknown of being. They can't package that, and they can't sell it, but you can choose it. And once you do, everything shifts. Not in spectacle, but in substance. Let's go deeper into what they fear most. The power of inner awareness. They taught you to mistake motion for meaning, noise for connection, achievement for identity. You were never asked to simply be, you were asked to perform. They built a stage around your life and handed you a script written in metrics, milestones, and marketable traits. But beneath the applause and exhaustion, something ancient in you kept resisting, something unmeasurable. You aren't your output. You aren't your curated presence. You aren't a product, a persona, or a projection. You are the flicker behind the eyes, the breath before the thought, the witness of it all. The moment you pause and listen, not to the world, but to yourself, you begin to return. And this return isn't loud or dramatic. It's subtle, subversive. It's the kind of rebellion that terrifies systems built on distraction. Because when you reclaim your awareness, you no longer play by their rules. You no longer chase meaning, you generate it. They can't control someone who no longer needs their validation. You become untouchable, not by hiding, but by embodying your truth so deeply that no role can contain you. Now that you've remembered who you are beneath it all, let's begin asking the question they never wanted you to ask. Who would you be if you were never told who to become?